Have you ever met someone who walks into a room and, without saying a word, commands your attention? They aren't the loudest. They aren't dressed in the most flamboyant clothes. They don't demand the spotlight. Yet there's an undeniable gravity to their presence, a quiet, centered power that makes you lean in. It's a steady, unshakable calm that seems to say, "I am here, I am enough, and I am not rattled by the world." Now, contrast that with the feeling we all know so well, that frantic internal monologue before a big presentation, the compulsive need to explain yourself when you're 5 minutes late, that sinking feeling when someone questions your decision and you feel a desperate urge to justify your every move. It's like trying to run 20 browser tabs in your brain at once, each one screaming for validation, for approval, for permission to simply be. This is the opposite of power. It is a life lived in reaction, a constant dance of apology and defense. But what if you could close those tabs? What if you could silence the noise and step into that rare, formidable calm? What if you could build a confidence so deep and so real that it radiates from you, influencing every interaction, every decision, every moment of your life? This isn't about faking it until you make it. This is about forging it until you become it. It's about building a fortress of self-respect and inner certainty so strong that nothing from the outside can ever tear it down. If you're ready to make a change, stick with me. If this message resonates with you and truly adds value to your life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe so you don't miss future content. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and tell me, what situation tends to shake your calm the most, and what small step will you take today to change that? Let's start a conversation and build a community of growth, strength, and self-mastery together. Chapter 1. The End of the Explanation. One of the fastest and most insidious ways we bleed our own confidence is through the habit of over-explaining. We do it so often we don't even notice it. It has become a social reflex, a nervous tick that we believe softens our edges and makes us more palatable to others. But in reality, every unnecessary explanation is a quiet confession of self-doubt. It is a silent plea for understanding, for validation, for permission. Think about the last time you were late for a meeting. Did you walk in, make eye contact, and say with calm sincerity, "My apologies for the delay. Thank you for your patience"? Or did you launch into a breathless 5-minute monologue about the unprecedented traffic, the alarm that mysteriously failed, the spilled coffee, and the lost keys? In that moment, you weren't just explaining your tardiness. You were communicating your anxiety. You were signaling to everyone in the room that you were so terrified of their judgment that you felt compelled to build a fortress of excuses around yourself. Confident people don't do this, not because they are rude or dismissive, but because their sense of worth is not contingent on your moment-to-moment approval. They understand a fundamental truth. Their actions and decisions belong to them. They don't live in a state of preemptive apology for the space they occupy in the world. This habit extends far beyond simple lateness. Consider the entrepreneur, Sarah, who has just made a bold, unconventional pivot in her business strategy. When her investors ask why, the insecure version of Sarah would spend 30 minutes justifying every data point, defending her thought process, and anxiously seeking nods of agreement. She would flood them with information, hoping that the sheer volume of her explanation would drown out their skepticism. But the confident Sarah? She stands firm. She looks them in the eye and says, "After analyzing the market, this is the direction that I am convinced will lead to long-term growth. I stand by this decision." And then she waits. She holds the silence. She doesn't backpedal. She doesn't fill the space with nervous chatter. Her brevity is her strength. Her calmness is her authority. The message is clear. I have thought this through, I trust my judgment, and I do not require your immediate comfort to feel secure in my choice. Every time you over-explain, you are subtly training your own mind to believe that your choices are not valid on their own. You are teaching yourself that your instincts need a co-signer. You are reinforcing the idea that your no is not complete without a list of socially acceptable reasons. You are saying, my decision is not enough. Please let my excuses be enough. Here is your first challenge on this journey. For the next 7 days, I want you to become a fierce editor of your own speech. Catch yourself in the act of launching into an explanation you don't owe. When you have to decline an invitation, resist the urge to invent a complex backstory. Simply say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it." When someone questions a personal choice you've made, from your career path to your diet, resist the need to lay out your entire life philosophy for their approval. A simple, "This is what works for me," is more than sufficient. At first, this will feel incredibly uncomfortable. The silence that follows your short, direct statement will feel loud, almost accusatory. You will feel a powerful urge to jump in and soften it, to explain more, to make sure the other person isn't offended. Do not give in to that urge. Let the silence hang there. Let it be a testament to your newfound conviction. In that silence, you are not being rude. You are respecting yourself. You are reclaiming the power you've been so freely giving away. With practice, you'll discover something transformative. The less you explain, the more your words weigh. The less you justify, the more seriously people take you. And most importantly, the less you seek validation from others, the more you will find it within yourself. This is the first, crucial step toward building a confidence that doesn't need to shout. It is the beginning of becoming untouchable. Chapter 2. Master the inner dialogue. If your confidence is a building, then your inner voice is its foundation. It is the constant, running commentary of your life, the narrator that shapes every perception, colors every experience, and ultimately dictates how you show up in the world. This voice is either your most powerful ally or your most relentless saboteur. There is no middle ground. And the terrifying truth is that for most people, this inner critic has been allowed to run the show for far too long. The way you speak to yourself in the quiet, private moments of your life will inevitably manifest in your public presence. It's an unchangeable law of human psychology. If, after making a small mistake at work, your inner voice immediately whispers, "You're so stupid. You always mess things up. Now everyone thinks you're incompetent. How do you think you will walk into the team meeting the next day?" You will walk in with your shoulders slightly hunched, avoiding direct eye contact, your energy small and apologetic. You are physically embodying the criticism you have accepted as truth. Now imagine a different response. You make the same mistake, but this time, your inner voice, a voice you have deliberately trained, says, "Okay, that wasn't the ideal outcome. What can I learn from this? How can I fix it and ensure it doesn't happen again?" There is no shame, no judgment, only analysis and a path forward. How do you walk into the meeting now? You walk in taller, with purpose. You are ready to address the issue head-on, not as a failure, but as a problem solver. Same person, same mistake. The only thing that changed was the internal narrative, and that change makes all the difference. Most people make a critical error in this domain. They wait for external validation before they change their internal conversation. They think, once I get the promotion, I'll feel confident. Or, when people start praising my work, then I'll believe in myself. This is a losing strategy. It is like a farmer waiting for the harvest before planting any seeds. It works the other way around. You must first plant the seeds of self-belief and water them with a disciplined inner dialogue. Your actions, and then the world's reactions, will eventually grow to match the seeds you've sown. Your brain is a remarkably powerful but simple machine in one respect. It believes what it hears most often. It cannot easily distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and objective truth. Repetition is its language. If you repeat the mantra of "I'm not good enough" 1,000 times, it becomes a core belief, a filter through which you see the world. But if you repeat, "I am capable, I am resilient, and I learn from every experience," that too will become your truth. So, how do we begin the monumental task of reprogramming this inner voice? It starts with mindful awareness. You cannot change a pattern you do not recognize. For the next week, become an observer of your own thoughts. Carry a small notebook or use a notes app on your phone. When you face a challenge, a setback, or even a moment of self-reflection in the mirror, what is the first thing you say to yourself? Write it down without judgment. Are the words harsh, critical, and defeating, or are they constructive and encouraging? The goal here isn't to replace every negative thought with a syrupy, fake positive affirmation. Dangerous confidence is not about delusion. It's not about telling yourself you're a flawless superhero. It's about speaking to yourself with the same respect and encouragement you would offer a trusted friend. It's about strength, not fantasy. Let's practice some reframing instead of, "I can't handle this pressure." Try, "This is challenging, which is why I will focus on one step at a time." Instead of, "I always fail at this." Try, "My past attempts have taught me valuable lessons. I am better equipped now." Instead of, "Everyone in that room is smarter than me." Try, "I bring a unique perspective to the table. I am here to contribute, not to compare." These are not lies. They are strategic shifts in perspective. They take the emotional charge out of the situation and replace it with a sense of agency and purpose. Here is your second challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to begin every single morning with a verbal declaration. Before you check your phone, before the chaos of the day begins, stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself directly in the eye and say these 3 things out loud. 1. I will treat myself with respect today. 2. I am capable of handling whatever challenges come my way. 3. My value is not determined by anyone else's opinion. It will feel awkward at first. Your old programming will fight back, but do it anyway. Say the words with conviction. Your voice is a physical vibration, and speaking these truths sends a powerful signal to your subconscious. Day after day, you are laying a new foundation, brick by brick. You are replacing the voice of the critic with the voice of a commander. And once that commander is firmly in charge of your inner world, no battle in the outer world will ever seem insurmountable again. Chapter 3. The currency of self-respect. Confidence without self-respect is a house of cards. It is a performance. a fragile facade built to impress an audience. It might look convincing from a distance, but the slightest gust of wind, a piece of criticism, a moment of failure, a single rejection can bring the entire structure tumbling down. True, lasting, dangerous confidence is not an act. It is a byproduct. It is the natural consequence of living in a state of high self-respect. But what is self-respect? It's not arrogance. It's not narcissism. It is the quiet, profound act of honoring yourself through your daily choices. It is the alignment of your actions with your values. It is treating yourself with the same dignity and consideration you would offer to someone you deeply admire. Ask yourself this honestly. How do you treat yourself? When you make a promise to a friend to meet them for lunch, you show up. But when you make a promise to yourself to wake up early and go to the gym, how often do you hit the snooze button? When a colleague asks for your help, you give them your undivided attention. But when your own body and mind are screaming for a break, do you listen or do you push through, fueled by caffeine and guilt? The way you treat yourself sets the universal standard for how you allow others to treat you. It is the baseline you broadcast to the world. If you constantly break promises to yourself, you are subconsciously telling yourself, "My word is not important. My needs are secondary." And if you believe that, why would anyone else believe differently? If you fill your life with clutter, tolerate toxic relationships, and neglect your own well-being, you are sending a clear signal that you do not value your own peace. Self-respect is forged in the small, unglamorous moments of daily discipline. It is not born from grand achievements. It is accumulated, one honorable choice at a time. Waking up when your alarm goes off is an act of self-respect. Choosing a nourishing meal over junk food is an act of self-respect. Setting aside 30 minutes to read a book instead of scrolling mindlessly is an act of self-respect. Walking away from a conversation that has devolved into gossip and negativity is an act of self-respect. Holding a boundary you've set, even when it's uncomfortable, is a profound act of self-respect. Each of these choices seems insignificant on its own, but together, they are the building blocks of an unbreakable inner fortress. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you cast a vote for the person you want to be. You are telling your subconscious mind, "I can be trusted. I am reliable. I am worthy of my own commitment." And when you genuinely trust yourself, the need for external validation begins to wither away. Confidence becomes your natural state, not something you have to psych yourself up for. Imagine a craftsman named David. He builds custom furniture. He doesn't rush. He doesn't cut corners, even on the parts no one will ever see. The inside of a drawer, the back of a cabinet. He uses the best materials and honors his craft with meticulous attention to detail. He does this not for the customer's praise, but because he respects his own work too much to do it any other way. That integrity, that deep respect for himself and his process, is what gives him his quiet confidence. When a client sees his work, they don't just see a piece of furniture, they feel the respect he poured into it. You are the craftsman of your own character. Every day presents you with choices. Do you cut corners, or do you honor the process? Do you choose the easy path, or the path of integrity? Start by making one promise to yourself today and keeping it. Just one. It could be as simple as, "I will go for a 15-minute walk during my lunch break," or, "I will turn off all screens 1 hour before bed." The specific promise is less important than the act of honoring it. Feel the small but significant surge of integrity that comes from doing what you said you would do. That feeling is the currency of self-respect. Tomorrow, make another promise and keep it. As you begin to stack these small wins, you will notice a powerful shift. You will start to carry yourself differently. Your tolerance for disrespect, from yourself and from others, will plummet. You will no longer seek out situations or people that violate your newfound standards. Confidence will stop being something you chase and start being something you embody, because you cannot feel powerful if you don't respect yourself. But when you do, you become a force of nature. Chapter 4. The Unchained Mind. Killing the Need for Approval. There is a silent addiction that enslaves more people than any substance on earth. It's the addiction to approval. It's that subtle but persistent itch in the back of your mind that asks, what will they think? Do they like me? Am I impressive enough? Did that land the right way? This addiction turns strong, capable individuals into puppets. Their strings pulled by the whims and opinions of colleagues, friends, family, and even strangers on the internet. When your sense of self-worth is outsourced to the opinions of others, it will always be fragile. It is a currency you do not control. One day, you are rich with compliments and praise. The next, you are bankrupt from a single critical comment or a dismissive look. Living this way is exhausting. It is a life spent on a roller coaster of emotional highs and lows, entirely dependent on the ever-changing landscape of external validation. Dangerous confidence is born the moment you decide to reclaim ownership of your self-worth. It is the conscious, deliberate act of severing those strings and learning to be your own source of validation. It is not about becoming cold or indifferent to others. It is about no longer needing their applause to feel whole. Think of the historical figures or modern innovators you admire most. Did they achieve greatness by conducting polls to see what was popular? Did they hedge their bets and dilute their vision to please the crowd? No. They were driven by an inner conviction, a purpose so strong that it eclipsed their need to be liked. They understood that pioneering a new path often means walking alone for a while. Their strength wasn't in their popularity. It was in their ability to stand firm in their truth, even in the face of ridicule and disbelief. That is the kind of strength that changes the world. Let's be clear. There is nothing inherently wrong with enjoying praise or feeling good when someone acknowledges your efforts. The danger lies not in the receiving, but in the needing. The moment you need it to feel okay, you have handed over the keys to your emotional kingdom. You have given another person the remote control to your feelings, and people, as you know, change channels without warning. So how do you begin the detoxification process? How do you kill this deep-seated need? You start small, with deliberate acts of authenticity. Practice making a small decision based solely on your own preference, without consulting anyone else. Choose the movie, the restaurant, the book you want to read. It sounds trivial, but it's a microdose of self-trust. Practice stating an opinion in a low-stakes conversation without immediately looking for agreement. Share your thoughts on a film or a new song, and if someone disagrees, just let it be. Don't rush to defend your position or convince them. Their opinion and your opinion can coexist. This teaches your nervous system that disagreement is not a threat. Here is a powerful mantra to repeat to yourself daily. Their approval is a bonus, not a necessity. My self-respect is the necessity. Consider the case of a young artist named Maya. For years, she painted what she thought would sell. She chased trends, mimicked popular styles, and constantly checked social media to see which of her posts got the most likes. She was technically skilled, but her work felt hollow, and she was miserable, constantly anxious about the next comment. One day, she'd had enough. She deactivated her accounts and spent 6 months painting only for herself. She painted the strange, vibrant, deeply personal images that lived in her mind. The work was weird, unconventional, and utterly her own. When she finally showed it, some people were confused, some didn't like it. But a few people were mesmerized. They saw the authenticity, the raw honesty, and they connected with it on a profound level. Maya sold more art in that one show than she had in the previous 2 years. But more importantly, she realized that even if she hadn't sold a single piece, she would have been okay. She had fallen in love with her own process, with her own voice. She no longer needed the likes, because she genuinely liked herself and what she was creating. She had unchained her mind. When you stop chasing approval, a strange and wonderful thing happens. At first, some people may not like it. Those who were used to you being compliant might call you selfish or difficult. Let them. Stay the course. Because over time, those same people, and many others, will begin to respect you on a completely new level. They may have enjoyed your people-pleasing, but they will admire your integrity. People are instinctively drawn to those who are centered in their own truth. The ultimate shift is this. You walk into a room no longer asking, "Will they like me?" Instead, you ask yourself, "Will I like the person I am in this room? Will I be authentic? Will I be true to my values?" When you make that your focus, everything changes. You are no longer performing for an audience. You are simply living your truth. And there is nothing more dangerously confident than that. Chapter 5. The Language of Silence and Space. In a world that is obsessed with noise, with constant communication, with filling every available moment with words, updates, and opinions, the most powerful tool of influence is often the one that is most overlooked. Silence. We have been conditioned to believe that power lies in having the last word, in being the quickest to respond, in dominating the conversational airspace. But true, unshakable confidence operates on a different frequency. It understands that silence is not emptiness, it is space. And in that space, power is built. Think about the most common way people give away their power. Someone criticizes them, and they immediately leap to their own defense, their voice tight with emotion. Someone insults them, and they lash back with an even sharper insult. Someone challenges their idea, and they begin to speak faster, louder, desperate to prove their point. In these moments, they believe they are demonstrating strength. In reality, they are demonstrating that they are easily controlled. They have shown their opponent exactly which buttons to press to get a reaction. The person who reacts is predictable. The person who can remain calm and silent in the face of provocation is a mystery. They are unreadable. They are dangerous. When you respond to a challenge not with an emotional outburst, but with a calm, deliberate silence, you fundamentally alter the dynamics of the interaction. You hold your ground. You force the other person to sit with the weight of their own words. Often in your silence, they will become uncomfortable and begin to talk more, revealing their true intentions, their insecurities, their weaknesses. They came expecting a fight, and you gave them a mirror. This is a profound form of power. Let's be clear. This is not about being passive. It is not about letting people walk all over you. It is about strategic and intentional non-reaction. It is about choosing your battles and refusing to waste your energy on pointless skirmishes. Your emotional energy is a finite and precious resource. Why would you squander it on every person who tries to bait you into an argument? This principle extends beyond conflict. It's also about speaking with economy and purpose. Most people talk too much. They ramble. They use 50 words when 5 would suffice. This verbal clutter weakens their message. It signals a lack of clarity and, often, a lack of confidence. It's as if they are hoping that by throwing enough words at a topic, some of them will eventually stick. The confident individual does the opposite. They listen more than they speak. They listen not just to formulate their own reply, but to truly understand. And when they do speak, their words have been sharpened by their listening. They are precise, intentional, and impactful. Because they speak less, their words carry more weight. People lean in. They pay attention. Imagine a high-stakes negotiation. On one side, you have a team that is nervous, talking constantly, filling every pause, justifying their position over and over. On the other side, you have a negotiator who listens intently, nods slowly, and says very little. After a long presentation from the first team, the quiet negotiator pauses for a full 10 seconds, a silence that feels like an eternity in that tense room. Then, they look up and ask one simple, devastatingly insightful question. Who has the power in that room? It is always the person who is in command of the silence. Here's how you can begin to cultivate this skill. 1. Practice the 2-second pause. In every conversation, before you respond to anything, a question, a comment, an accusation, train yourself to take a silent, 2-second pause. Just breathe. This small gap breaks the habit of impulsive reaction. It gives you a moment to choose your response rather than letting your emotions choose for you. 2. Become an active listener. Instead of planning what you're going to say next, focus 100% of your attention on what the other person is saying. Listen to the words they use, the tone of their voice, and what they aren't saying. You will be amazed at how much more you understand and how much more powerful your eventual response will be. 3. Embrace brevity. Challenge yourself to make your point in half the number of words you would normally use. Cut the filler, the justifications, the rambling anecdotes. Be clear, be direct, be finished. At first, this will feel unnatural. You will want to fill the space. But with practice, you will come to see silence as your ally. It is your shield in conflict, your tool for understanding, and the amplifier that gives your words their true power. Dangerous confidence doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. It only needs to be the most measured. Chapter 6. Your body speaks before you do. Long before your first word is spoken, you have already delivered a speech. Your body, your posture, your gait, your eye contact, your gestures has already communicated a story to everyone in the room. It has told them whether you feel confident or insecure, powerful or subordinate, comfortable in your own skin or desperate to disappear. This silent language is primal, immediate, and overwhelmingly powerful. And if your spoken words contradict the story your body is telling, people will always believe your body. You can say, "I'm confident about this proposal," but if you are saying it while slouched in your chair, avoiding eye contact, and nervously tapping your fingers on the table, your message is dead on arrival. Your words say one thing. Your physiology screams the opposite. Conversely, you could say very little. But if you stand tall with your shoulders back, occupy your space without apology, and maintain steady, calm eye contact, your presence alone conveys a deep sense of authority and self-assurance. This is not about acting or putting on a show. This is about understanding the profound feedback loop between your body and your mind. Your physiology doesn't just reflect your mental state, it actively shapes it. This is a concept known as embodied cognition. When you physically adopt postures of confidence, you are sending powerful signals to your brain that can actually change your internal chemistry, increasing hormones associated with dominance and decreasing those associated with stress. Try this simple experiment right now. Hunch your shoulders forward, curve your spine, look down at the floor, and try to feel powerful and confident. It's nearly impossible. Your body is in a position of defeat, and your mind follows suit. Now do the opposite. Stand up. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Roll your shoulders back and down. Lift your chin slightly. Take a deep, slow breath and expand your chest. Hold this posture for 30 seconds. Do you feel the shift? A subtle but undeniable change in your internal state. You didn't change your thoughts. You changed your posture, and your thoughts began to change in response. This is why letting your body speak first is one of the most effective hacks for building confidence. It's about being intentional with your physical presence. Let's break down the key elements. Posture. Think tall and open. Imagine a string pulling the crown of your head gently toward the ceiling, elongating your spine. Keep your shoulders relaxed and back, not pinched together in a military stance, but open, exposing your chest. This is a universal signal of confidence and openness. It says, I am not afraid. I have nothing to hide. Eye contact. This is crucial. Avoiding eye contact signals submission, shame, or dishonesty. Staring aggressively signals a threat. The goal is calm, steady, and connected eye contact. When speaking to someone, hold their gaze for a few seconds at a time. Then you can briefly look away thoughtfully before re-engaging. It shows you are listening and that you are comfortable being seen. Movement. Confident people move with purpose. They don't rush. Their movements are deliberate, not jerky or frantic. When you walk into a room, walk at a measured pace. When you sit down, do so calmly. Avoid fidgeting, tapping your pen, shaking your leg, playing with your hair. These are nervous energy leaks that betray your inner anxiety. Train yourself to be still. Stillness is strength. Your space. Occupy your space. When you sit at a table, don't shrink into the corner. Place your belongings in front of you. Rest your arms on the armrests. This doesn't mean sprawling out inconsiderately. It means not apologizing for the physical space your body takes up. Here is a practical challenge. The next time you have to enter a significant space, a meeting room, a social event, a job interview, pause for a moment at the threshold before you walk in. Take one deep breath. Consciously adjust your posture. Shoulders back, head up. Then, walk in with the intention of belonging there. Don't rush to your seat. Let your eyes scan the room calmly. This single 5-second ritual can completely transform how you feel and how others perceive you. Your body is your advance team. It enters the battlefield before your intellect does. By training it to communicate strength, calm, and certainty, you are setting the stage for success. Your words then become the confirmation of what everyone in the room already feels, that you are someone to be taken seriously. Chapter 7. The anchor in the storm life is a constant barrage of inputs. Emails demand your attention. Critics question your work. Colleagues challenge your ideas. Unexpected problems derail your plans. The average person lives in a state of perpetual reaction to this chaos. Their mood, their focus, and their actions are dictated not by their own intentions, but by the last stimulus that crossed their path. This is the definition of a powerless existence. The person who possesses dangerous confidence operates from a different paradigm entirely. They have moved from a life of reaction to a life of leadership. And let me be clear, leadership here has nothing to do with a job title. It is the fundamental act of leading yourself first. It is the ability to remain the calm, steady anchor in the middle of a raging storm. While everyone else is being tossed about by the waves, you hold your position. When you are in reaction mode, you are always one step behind. You are playing defense. Your energy is spent putting out fires that other people have started. But when you lead, you set the tone. You define the agenda. You choose your responses with intention, based on your own values and goals, not as an emotional reflex to someone else's behavior. This shift from reacting to leading is the single greatest leap you can make in your personal power. Think about it this way. When you react to everything, you are teaching people exactly how to manipulate you. They learn that a certain type of comment will make you angry. They learn that ignoring you will make you insecure. They learn that challenging you will make you defensive. You become an open book, a predictable machine. But when you stop reacting, when you meet provocation with calm, when you meet chaos with composure, those buttons stop working. The puppet master pulls the strings, but the puppet no longer dances. This is what makes you untouchable. Imagine a manager, Mark, leading a project that has just hit a major, unexpected roadblock. The team is panicking, voices are raised, blame is being thrown around. The reactive Mark would get swept up in the hysteria. He would become defensive, shout back, and make hasty, fear-based decisions. But the Mark who leads, the Mark who is an anchor, does the opposite. He lets the initial wave of panic wash over the room without getting pulled into it. He listens. He lets people vent their fear and frustration. His own voice, when he finally speaks, is calm and steady. He doesn't offer false reassurances. Instead, he says, "Okay, this is a serious challenge. Let's take 10 minutes, everyone calm down, and then we will reconvene to break down the problem and identify our first 3 steps. We will solve this, but not like this." In that moment, Mark didn't just manage a problem. He led his people. He absorbed the chaos and reflected back order. He became the anchor point of stability that allowed everyone else to regain their composure. People will follow that kind of strength to the ends of the earth. So, how do you cultivate this ability to be the anchor? 1. Cultivate the pause. As we discussed before, the pause is your greatest weapon. When chaos erupts, your first instinct is to act immediately, resist. The more urgent the situation feels, the more crucial a moment of stillness becomes. Take a deep breath. This small act of defiance against your own adrenaline gives your rational mind a chance to catch up with your emotional brain. 2. Set your intentions proactively. Don't wait until you're in the storm to decide how you'll behave. Before you walk into a potentially stressful situation, a difficult conversation, a high-pressure meeting, decide your emotional state in advance. Tell yourself, "My intention is to remain calm and focused, regardless of what happens." By pre-programming your response, you are leading yourself instead of waiting to react to others. 3. Focus on the controllable. In any chaotic situation, there are things you can control and things you cannot. The reactive person obsesses over the uncontrollables, other people's emotions, external events. The leader immediately focuses their energy on the one thing they can always control: their own response. Ask yourself, what is the most constructive action I can take right now? This question shifts you from a state of victimhood to a state of command. Being the anchor in the storm isn't about being emotionless. It's about not being a slave to your emotions. It's about feeling the fear, the anger, or the frustration, and still choosing to act from a place of centered strength. Every time you successfully do this, you are forging your confidence in the fires of real-life adversity. You are proving to yourself that you are stronger than the chaos around you. And once you know that, not just as a belief, but as a lived experience, your presence will become a source of power, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Chapter 8. The Crucible of Discomfort. There is a universal lie we are told from a young age, that the goal of life is to seek comfort. We are taught to find a safe career, to build a predictable routine, to surround ourselves with familiar people, and to avoid situations that make us feel nervous or uncertain. We construct elaborate comfort zones and then spend our lives defending their borders. But here is a truth that will change your life if you let it. Confidence is not grown in the soil of comfort. It is forged in the crucible of discomfort. Your comfort zone is not a sanctuary. It is a cage. It keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. Every time you choose the familiar path over the challenging one, every time you retreat from a situation that scares you, you are casting a vote for the person you are, not the person you could become. And deep down, your subconscious knows this. That quiet, nagging feeling of insecurity that so many people live with is often the soul's protest against a life lived too safely. It is the voice that knows you are capable of more, but have settled for less. Dangerous confidence is built on a mountain of evidence. It is not a hollow affirmation. It is a deep-seated knowledge of your own resilience, earned through voluntary exposure to difficulty. When you consistently and intentionally step outside your comfort zone, you are collecting proof of your own strength. Consider the physical analogy of the gym. You do not build muscle by lifting weights that feel easy. Growth only happens at the point of resistance, when the muscle is stressed, strained, and pushed to its limit. It is in that moment of uncomfortable effort that the muscle fibers tear, only to rebuild themselves stronger than before. Your confidence, your resilience, and your character work in exactly the same way. They only grow under load. This is why embracing discomfort is not just a strategy for success. It is a prerequisite for self-belief. This also reframes our relationship with one of the most feared forms of discomfort: rejection. Most people view rejection as a verdict. They hear the word no, and they interpret it as, "You are not good enough." It becomes a judgment on their worth as a person, and the sting of it sends them retreating back into their comfort zone, vowing never to risk that pain again. The dangerously confident individual sees rejection differently. They see it not as a verdict, but as data. It is feedback. It is a redirection. Sometimes a no simply means not right now. Sometimes it means try a different approach. And sometimes it means this door wasn't meant for you, because a better one is waiting. Rejection is not the wall at the end of the path. It is a signpost telling you to adjust your course. Every no you receive is proof that you are in the arena. It is evidence that you are playing the game, taking risks, and aiming for something beyond your easy reach. The person who never faces rejection is the person who never takes a shot, who is truly more confident in the long run. So how do you learn to embrace this crucible? 1. Seek microdoses of discomfort daily. You don't have to start by quitting your job to climb Mount Everest. Start small. If you're shy, make it a goal to strike up a 1-minute conversation with a barista. If you're afraid of public speaking, volunteer to say a few words in a low-stakes team meeting. Choose one small thing each day that makes your palms sweat just a little. These are your reps for building discomfort tolerance. 2. Reframe fear as excitement. The physiological responses to fear and excitement are remarkably similar. Increased heart rate, faster breathing, a surge of adrenaline. The only difference is your cognitive label. The next time you feel that nervous energy, instead of telling yourself, "I'm so scared," try telling yourself, "I'm so excited to see what happens." This simple linguistic shift can transform a threat into a challenge. 3. Collect your rejections. I want you to actively seek out rejection. Set a goal for the number of no's you want to receive this month. Apply for a job you're slightly underqualified for. Pitch an idea you're not sure will fly. Ask for something you expect to be denied. By making rejection the goal, you strip it of its power. It's no longer a failure, it's a success. You are desensitizing yourself to the sting and proving to yourself that a no will not break you. When you learn to not just tolerate discomfort, but to actively seek it, your world expands. The things that once terrified you become your warm-up. The challenges that would make others crumble become your training ground. You stop being afraid of what might happen because you have a deep and abiding trust, born from experience, that you can handle whatever comes. This is the essence of being unbreakable. Chapter 9. The certainty of competence. Confidence is not a feeling you can conjure out of thin air. It's not a magical state of mind you achieve through wishful thinking. True, unshakable confidence is an earned reward. It is the natural outcome of competence. When you know, deep in your bones, that you have put in the work, that you have mastered your craft, that you have prepared relentlessly, doubt begins to evaporate. It is replaced by a quiet, powerful certainty. Think of a master musician walking onto a stage in front of thousands of people. They aren't standing in the wings, hoping they can play the right notes. They aren't relying on positive affirmations to get them through the performance. Their confidence comes from a different source. The 10,000 hours of deliberate practice they have invested in their instrument. The countless scales, the repetitive drills, the frustrating moments of struggle. All of that work has been transmuted into effortless skill. Their certainty is not a mindset. It is a physical reality embedded in their muscle memory. They don't have to think about being confident. They simply are competent. And the confidence is an inseparable part of that state. Many people get this equation backward. They wait to feel confident before they start taking action. They say, "I'll apply for that senior role once I feel more confident," or "I'll start my own business when I'm sure I can succeed." This is a recipe for lifelong stagnation. You don't feel confident and then act. You act, you practice, you fail, you learn, and you repeat. And through that messy, arduous process, you build the competence that generates authentic confidence. Skill builds belief. Every hour you spend studying, every problem you solve, every mistake you analyze and learn from is another brick in the foundation of your self-trust. It's a deposit into your competence account. And when that account is full, you can walk into any high-pressure situation knowing you have the resources to handle it. This principle applies to every area of life, not just technical skills. Want to be more confident in social situations? Don't just wish for it. Train for it. Study social dynamics. Practice starting conversations. Learn how to ask better questions. Join a group like Toastmasters to practice speaking. Competence in conversation is a skill, not a personality trait. Want to be more confident in your financial life? Don't just hope for wealth. Build competence. Read books on personal finance. Learn how to budget, invest, and manage debt. The more you know, the less you will fear. The key is to embrace the mindset of the apprentice. Be humble enough to acknowledge what you don't know, and disciplined enough to do the work required to learn it. Here's how to build confidence through competence. 1. Identify your arena of doubt. Where in your life do you feel the most insecure? Is it in your leadership abilities, your communication skills, your technical knowledge? Pinpoint the specific area where a lack of competence is fueling your lack of confidence. 2. Commit to deliberate practice. Don't just go through the motions. Deliberate practice is focused, systematic, and targeted at improving specific weaknesses. It involves pushing yourself just beyond your current ability level, getting feedback, and refining your approach. It's not about being perfect. It's about being perpetually in a state of improvement. 3. Embrace the plateau. In any learning process, there will be periods where it feels like you're not making any progress. This is the plateau. Most people get discouraged here and quit. The master understands that the plateau is part of the process. This is where the real work is done, where the skills are being consolidated deep within your nervous system. Push through the plateau. That's where breakthroughs happen. 4. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your training. Note your small wins, the lessons you've learned, the mistakes you've overcome. Periodically, look back at where you were a month ago or 6 months ago. Seeing tangible evidence of your growth is one of the most powerful confidence boosters there is. It replaces vague feelings of inadequacy with cold, hard proof of your development. When you dedicate yourself to mastery, you are no longer at the mercy of your fleeting moods. Your confidence isn't dependent on whether you feel good today. It is anchored in the solid, undeniable reality of your skill. You don't have to tell people you're good. Your work speaks for you. You don't have to hope for the best. You know you are prepared for the worst. This is the certainty that cannot be faked and cannot be taken away. It is the quiet power of knowing you've earned your place at the table. Chapter 10. The freedom of detachment. We live our lives shackled by invisible chains, and the strongest of these is our attachment to outcomes. We chain our happiness to a successful product launch. We chain our sense of worth to getting a promotion. We chain our peace of mind to another person's love and approval. We pour all of our effort and emotional energy into a goal, and then we hang our entire identity on the hook of its success or failure. This is a fragile way to live. When you are deeply attached to an outcome, you are in a constant state of low-grade anxiety. You are trying to control the uncontrollable. You can control your effort, your strategy, your attitude, but you cannot control the market, the whims of a hiring manager, the economy, or how another person feels. By chaining yourself to these external factors, you have surrendered your inner peace. Dangerous confidence is rooted in the liberating practice of detachment. Detachment is not apathy. It is not about not caring. In fact, it allows you to care more purely and act more boldly. Detachment is the wisdom to separate yourself from your results. It is the ability to pour your absolute best effort into an endeavor, and then release your grip on what happens next. It is the profound understanding that your value as a person is not defined by the scoreboard. Think of an archer. The attached archer is obsessed with the target. Their hands tremble. Their breath is shallow. Their mind is filled with the fear of missing. Every slight breeze, every sound from the crowd sends a ripple of anxiety through them. Their focus is on the result, and this anxiety cripples their process. The detached archer, on the other hand, is in love with the process. Their focus is on their stance, the smooth draw of the bowstring, the anchor point on their cheek, the control of their breath. They pour all of their mastery into the perfect execution of the shot. Once the arrow is released, it is no longer in their control. It will fly true, or it will be carried by the wind. They have done their part. They accept the result, whatever it may be, and immediately begin to focus on the next perfect shot. Ironically, which archer do you think hits the target more often? When you detach from outcomes, you are liberated from the two great paralyzing forces in life: the fear of failure and the desperate need for success. You can take bigger risks because your identity is not on the line. You can act with more clarity and calm because you are not suffocated by anxiety about the future. You become harder to manipulate because no one can hold a specific result over your head as a threat or a bribe. You are free. Here is how to cultivate this freedom. 1. Define your win internally. Instead of defining success by an external outcome, like getting the job, redefine it by something you can control, like giving the best, most authentic interview I possibly can. If you do that, you can walk out of that interview having already won, regardless of whether you get a callback. Your success is dependent on your effort, not their decision. 2. Focus on systems, not just goals. A goal is a future outcome. A system is the daily process you follow. An author's goal is to write a bestseller. Their system is writing 500 words every day. A runner's goal is to win the marathon. Their system is their training schedule. Fall in love with your system. Pour your energy into executing your daily process with excellence. The goals will often take care of themselves as a byproduct of a great system. And even if they don't, you still have the pride and self-respect that comes from your daily discipline. 3. Practice negative visualization. This is a powerful Stoic technique. Take a moment to vividly imagine what would happen if you failed. What if you don't get the promotion? What if the business doesn't succeed? What if the relationship ends? Walk yourself through the worst-case scenario. You will almost always realize two things. First, the consequences are rarely as catastrophic as your anxiety pretends they are. And second, you have the resources, resilience, and strength to handle it. You would survive. You would adapt. You would learn. Knowing this deep down is the ultimate antidote to the fear of failure. When you live in a state of detachment, you operate from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You pursue goals not because you need them to fill a hole inside of you, but as a joyful expression of the person you already are. You can enjoy success without being enslaved by it, and you can endure failure without being destroyed by it. You are anchored in yourself, not in the shifting sands of circumstance. This is the ultimate freedom, and it is the bedrock of a confidence that can weather any storm. Chapter 11. The Unapologetic Boundary. Your time, your energy, and your focus are the most valuable currencies you possess. They are finite resources, and where you choose to invest them will determine the entire trajectory of your life. Yet most people give them away freely, without a second thought, to anyone who asks. They say yes when they mean no. They allow their calendars to be hijacked by other people's priorities. They tolerate energy-draining people and situations out of a misplaced fear of conflict or a desire to be seen as nice. This is not kindness. It is a profound act of self-disrespect. A boundary is not a wall you build to shut people out. It is a line you draw in the sand to protect your own well-being. It is a clear and conscious declaration of what you will and will not accept. It is the guardian of your inner peace. And the ability to set and enforce boundaries, calmly and without apology, is one of the clearest indicators of a deeply confident individual. People who lack confidence often have porous or non-existent boundaries. They believe that saying no is selfish. They feel guilty for prioritizing their own needs. As a result, they live in a state of constant resentment, feeling drained, overcommitted, and taken for granted. This resentment is a giant red flag, a signal from your soul that a boundary has been crossed. The confident person understands a fundamental law of human nature. People will push until they meet resistance. They will take as much of your time and energy as you are willing to give. Setting a boundary is simply providing that necessary point of resistance. It is teaching people how to treat you. Imagine your energy is a garden. If you leave the gate open, anyone can wander in, trample your flowers, and take what they please. Setting a boundary is like closing and locking that gate. You decide who you let in and for how long. It is not about being unfriendly. It is about being a responsible steward of your own precious plot of land. You cannot cultivate your own growth if your garden is constantly being overrun. The key to setting effective boundaries lies in the delivery. It must be clear, calm, and unapologetic. Many people make the mistake of over-explaining or apologizing for their boundaries. They say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but I can't help you move this weekend because my cousin is coming, and then I have this other thing." This long, rambling justification signals to the other person that your boundary is weak and perhaps negotiable. It invites them to try and solve your problem so you can still do what they want. Compare that to a calm, simple statement. "I won't be available to help this weekend. I hope you find someone." Or, "I'm not able to take on any additional projects at this time." No is a complete sentence. Your reasons are your own. You do not owe anyone an essay to justify the protection of your own resources. When you first start setting boundaries, expect some pushback. People who are used to having unfettered access to your time and energy may not like the new rules. They might call you selfish. They might try to guilt trip you. This is a critical test. When this happens, do not retreat. Hold your ground calmly. Their negative reaction is not a sign that your boundary is wrong. It is a sign that your boundary is necessary. The right people, the ones who truly respect you, will honor your limits. The wrong people will be filtered out. Your boundaries are not just a tool for protection, they are an excellent filter for relationships. Here is how to begin. 1. Identify a point of resentment. Think of one area in your life, with a specific person or situation, where you consistently feel drained or taken for granted. This is the first place a boundary is needed. 2. Clearly define the line. What is the specific behavior that is unacceptable? What is the new rule you want to establish? Be precise. For example, I will not answer work emails after 7 p.m. Or, I will no longer participate in conversations that are based on gossip. 3. Communicate the boundary simply and calmly. You don't need to make a dramatic announcement. The next time the situation arises, calmly state your boundary. I'm heading out for the day, but I'll be happy to look at that email first thing in the morning. 4. Enforce it consistently. A boundary is useless if it is not enforced. If someone pushes against it, you must calmly hold the line. Repetition is key. Eventually, they will learn that the line is firm. Setting boundaries is an act of profound self-love. It declares that you are worthy of protection. It frees up the energy you need to invest in your own goals, your own joy, and the people who truly matter. Confidence doesn't just come from what you achieve. It comes from what you refuse to tolerate. Chapter 12. The Fortress of the Self. Needing nothing, attracting everything. We have journeyed through the architecture of dangerous confidence, laying the foundation of self-respect, building the walls of our inner dialogue, and installing the gates of our boundaries. Now we arrive at the final, highest expression of this power, living as if you need nothing. This is not a call to asceticism or isolation. It is not about rejecting the beautiful things life has to offer: success, love, recognition, wealth. It is about fundamentally shifting your relationship to them. It is the difference between enjoying these things and needing them. The enjoyment is a source of pleasure. The need is a source of suffering. The average person operates from a mindset of lack. They are a vessel full of holes, constantly seeking external sources to pour in and fill them up. They need approval to feel validated. They need a relationship to feel complete. They need a promotion to feel successful. They are chasing, grasping, and clinging. And because their internal state is so dependent on these external things, they are perpetually vulnerable. Anything they need can be used as leverage against them. Their neediness is a weakness that others can, and often will, exploit. The person who lives as if they need nothing operates from a place of wholeness. They have done the deep internal work of filling their own vessel. They cultivate their own validation through self-respect. They find their own completeness in their purpose and passions. They define their own success through their effort and integrity. They have built an inner fortress of the self that is secure and self-sustaining. From this place of wholeness, they can engage with the world in a completely different way. They can pursue ambitious goals, not out of a desperate need to prove their worth, but as a joyful game of expansion and creation. They can enter into relationships, not to fix a sense of loneliness, but to share their own completeness with another whole person. They can accept praise gracefully as a kind gift, but not inhale it like oxygen, because they are already breathing on their own. This is the ultimate state of freedom. When you need nothing from the world loses its power to wound you. Rejection is no longer devastating because you don't need that specific yes to be okay. Criticism loses its sting because you are no longer dependent on that person's approval. Failure is not a catastrophe because your identity was never tied to that specific outcome. You become like water, able to flow around obstacles without being broken by them. This state of being has a paradoxical and almost magical effect. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. Neediness repels. It has the scent of desperation, but wholeness, that calm, centered energy of someone who is complete in themselves, is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to it. Opportunities flow toward it. When you don't need the job, you interview with a relaxed confidence that makes them want to hire you. When you don't need the relationship, you interact with an authenticity that makes people want to be closer to you. When you don't need the applause, you create with a purity that earns you respect. By needing nothing, you often end up attracting everything. This is the final integration of all the principles we have discussed. You stop explaining because you don't need to be understood. You master your inner voice because you are your own source of encouragement. You set boundaries because you don't need to please everyone. You stand calm in chaos because you don't need the world to be orderly for you to be at peace. You detach from outcomes because you don't need a specific result to feel whole. Living this way is a daily practice. It is a constant returning to your center. It is asking yourself, in every situation, am I acting from a place of need or from a place of wholeness? It is the ultimate expression of personal sovereignty. You are the king or queen of your own inner kingdom, and while you may enjoy visitors and treasures from other lands, you know that the strength and wealth of your kingdom come from within. This is the peak of dangerous confidence. It is a quiet, unshakable peace. It is a power that does not need to be announced, for it is felt by all who come into its presence. It is the freedom that comes from knowing, with every fiber of your being, that you are already enough. Conclusion. Confidence is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is not a prize you are awarded for reaching a certain level of success. It is a practice. It is a muscle that you build, day by day, through conscious, deliberate choices. It is the choice to honor your word to yourself. The choice to speak to yourself with respect. The choice to walk away from what drains you. The choice to embrace discomfort. The choice to be the calm in the storm. We have journeyed together through the core tenets of building a confidence so deep and so real that it becomes a part of who you are. A confidence that is not loud, but resonant. Not arrogant, but certain. Not based on what the world gives you, but on what you have built within yourself. The world will continue to test you. It will offer you reasons to doubt, to shrink, to react. But you are now armed with a different way of being. You now understand that your power lies not in controlling the world, but in controlling your response to it. You have the tools to build your own fortress, to become your own anchor, to live from a place of profound and unshakable self-worth. Take these ideas and do not just think about them. Live them. Start today with one small act. Choose one principle from this audiobook and apply it. Let that small win build momentum for the next. This is how transformation happens, not in one grand, sweeping moment, but in the accumulation of 1,000 small, courageous choices. You are the architect of your own character. You are the source of your own power. Confidence is not about being seen by the world. It is the quiet certainty that you see yourself. Now go forward, not in search of validation, but as the source of it.